Hello, welcome back to Premium Recaps. Today, I will explain a science fiction thriller movie from 2011 titled Limitless. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Eddie is a struggling writer in New York City. He struggles with his writing and goes through multiple periods of writing and deleting. He lacks the motivation and spends most of his afternoons drinking at a bar and wasting time in his messy apartment. He is dependent on his girlfriend, Lindy, for financial support. Lindy thinks that Eddie is incapable of making any real progress with his life, and decides to end their relationship. Eddie goes home feeling bad about himself. He meets Vernon, his ex-wife's brother, and Eddie is not excited to see him. After talking for a while, they go out to drink together. Eddie asks about Melissa and Vernon informs him that she remarried and she has 2 kids of her own. Eddie tells him that he wants to write a book but is having problems starting it. Vernon offers to help Eddie with his creative problem and offers him a pill that could help improve his cognitive ability. Eddie remembers that Vernon used to deal with illegal drugs, and refuses to take it. Vernon insists on giving the drug to Eddie, saying that the drug is legal and is approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Eddie still refuses, but Vernon gives him the drug and hands him his business card. Vernon leaves the place after receiving an urgent phone call. He tells Eddie that they should meet up some other time. As Eddie walks home, he remembers about his miserable life and says that a single tablet may not make anything worse. He takes the NZT thinking that it would not make any difference. Upon getting to his apartment, he runs into his landlord's wife who screams at him for being late on his rent. He threatens him saying that he would soon be homeless. At that instant, the effect of the drug starts to take effect and he feels dizzy. Eddie realizes that he has new knowledge about law and can understand that there must be something bothering her. Eddie can access different parts of his memory and everything he had ever read or seen about law. He assists her landlord with her essay and recommends a book that would help her with her assignment. She is impressed by his knowledge of law and the two sleep together. Eddie realizes that he previously had this knowledge, and the drug must have helped him rearrange information in his brain. Eddie goes back to his apartment and starts with cleaning and tidying up the place. His mind is clear and he gets to writing, where he starts and completes a 90-page manuscript for his book. The NZT improved his cognitive ability and his motivation to engage in different activities. He wakes up the following day feeling like the effects of the NZT have worn off. He takes the manuscript to the editor who reads it and likes it. The editor sends multiple voice notes praising him for his writing. Eddie is excited by the effects of the NZT and goes to meet Vernon. Vernon opens the door and he appears to have been beaten as he has multiple bruises. He knows that Eddie came back for more drugs. Vernon informs Eddie that the drug was not legal and has not been approved by the FDA. However, Eddie still insists that he wants to have it. Vernon asks Eddie to go and do his dry cleaning and pick up breakfast. When Eddie comes back, he finds the door open with the entire place completely ransacked. Vernon is seated at the couch, dead. Eddie immediately calls the police. He then realizes that the people that did this must have been looking for the drug. He also ransacks the house to find the stash of drugs before anyone comes in. He is successful as he finds the drugs and some money. Eddie goes to the police station where he is interviewed about the incident. Melissa then tells him that he cannot go to Vernon's funeral. Eddie then goes home and takes another pill. He instantly gets creative and changes his life. He finishes his book, learns new languages, and uses math to win poker. He uses these skills to impress everyone around him. His shyness is gone. Eddie decides that he should use his new knowledge to get into Wall Street. He meets a friend, Kevin, who introduces him to the world of stock trading. Eddie easily reads books on stock trading and can monitor and predict trading trends. He realizes that he needs more capital for stock trading and goes to a loan shark, Gennady. Gennady gives Eddie a loan of $100,000, warning him that something terrible would happen to him if he delays repaying the loan. Eddie takes up the money and is confident that he would easily repay it back. The following day, Eddie starts trading at a brokerage firm. He grows his account to more than $2 million in about 2 weeks. He instantly becomes famous and his friend, Kevin, sets up a meeting with one of the Wall Street tycoons. Eddie decides to get back with Lindy and the two have a dinner together. Eddie informs Lindy that he transformed and got his life together after getting a wake-up call. The two spend the next few days together and Lindy confirms that Eddie has changed. The two talk about restarting their relationship. Eddie meets with Kevin the following day where the two go to meet a Wall Street tycoon, Carl Van Loon. Carl doubts how Eddie rose the ladder, suspecting him to be a con. However, he impresses Carl when he answers every question. Carl then gives Eddie a series of papers about his company. Eddie looks at the patterns and informs him about his move of merging with a competing company. Carl is impressed and says that nobody would have figured out the merge in such a short time. Carl instantly employs Eddie, telling him that he should oversee the merger with the two companies. Eddie is dropped off in a limousine but does not go home. He finds himself in different places of the city without a clear understanding of how he got there. He goes to several parties and in one instance finds himself on top of a bridge without recalling anything. He goes to different clubs, meets different women, and eventually ends up in a hotel with a model. He runs to several thugs in the subway, and he fights them off. He realizes he has mastered self-defense as he can recall fight scenes from action movies and documentaries. He then runs away and finds himself at the top of Brooklyn Bridge without remembering anything that happened in the previous 18 hours. Eddie gets home and wakes up to prepare for the meeting with Carl. However, he is afraid that he could have another memory loss episode and chooses not to take the NZT. Carl questions Eddie about the merger, having high expectations for him. However, he appears unprepared and he keeps on avoiding most of the questions. Carl asks questions about Atwood, the competing businessmen, and wonders how he had a steep rise in the world of stock trading. Eddie cannot reply to Carl, but his focus is on the news where there are reports that the woman he spent time with at the hotel is dead. Eddie thinks that he might have killed the woman and such a thought makes him sick and he starts vomiting. Once he gets home, he gets a call from Melissa who questions him about Vernon's death. Eddie then remembers that he had Vernon's black book where he had recorded names and telephone numbers of different individuals. He starts calling the different numbers and finds out that all the individuals listed are either terribly sick or dead. They all had similar episodes with migraine headaches, vomiting, and later going to a coma. He calls the last number and the person that picks up is right behind him. Eddie recognizes that the man has been spying on him and was following him right after he left the hotel room with the model. He immediately starts running and the man follows him. He runs through the streets, escaping traffic and finally gets to a cab and goes to meet Melissa. Melissa then tells Eddie that she knew about the drug as she took it for some time but got rid of it after experiencing multiple severe symptoms. However, the withdrawal symptoms were also severe, and she still feels lazy, unfocused, and cannot maintain a stable job. She advises Eddie that he should not stop taking the drug entirely but should gradually reduce the dosage. Eddie goes back home and realizes that Gennady, the loan shark, is waiting for him. He grabs Eddie demanding for the money and the drug mistakenly falls from his hand. Gennady takes the pill and Eddie goes to the bank to give him the money. Eddie later goes to Lindy's office and tells her everything about the drug, saying that he has hidden some of it in her apartment. Lindy goes and finds the drugs but realizes that there is a man following her. She tries to run away but easily gets cornered. She gets stuck and afraid and calls Eddie. He tells her to take the drug. The drug has an instant effect and Lindy knows exactly how to get away from the incident. She tricks the man to going to an ice rink and hits him with a child's ice skates, making him fall. Lindy is concerned about the pill as it turned her into a different person. Eddie says that he wants to first make enough money for their future before he can stop taking the drug. Eddie finds Gennady, the loan shark, waiting for him, insisting that he wants more of the drugs. He gives him a few drugs so that he can leave. Eddie later hires 2 bodyguards to keep him safe as he meets Carl. He apologizes about the previous meeting, saying that he was not feeling well. Carl gives him the contract and he facilitates the biggest merger in the history of stock trading. Eddie then goes to a chemist and tells them that he will give him $2 million if he can recreate the drug. A detective comes up to meet Eddie and tells him that he was identified to be in the hotel room with a young model that was killed. Eddie becomes the key suspect, and he hires the best lawyer in the city to help him get out. He wants to be fully prepared to facilitate the merger without any issues. At the meeting, Atwood, from the competing company, appears sick because of the NZT and they agree to sign the contract the following day. Eddie goes back to the hotel and finds that his room has been ransacked. He then moves to a fancy apartment to hide. He later runs into Gennady, and he finds that he is completely transformed. Gennady threatens him to give him more or he would tell Carl about his issues with the police. Carl and Eddie show up to sign the contract the following day, but Atwood does not show up. His wife comes and tells them that Atwood is not feeling well but would sign the contract once he gets better. Eddie then notices that the man that has been spying on him gets inside the car with her. He then realizes that Atwood was sick because he took the NZT. Eddie goes to the police station, and he meets with his lawyer. He leaves his coat that has multiple stashes of the drug hidden away. Eddie goes to Carl's office and the two are watching the news about the expected merger. Carl is worried that the merger may not materialize. Eddie informs him that Atwood is dying and the entire merger has become very complicated. Eddie tries to find another tablet but cannot locate it. He goes back to his office and finds a package delivered to him. The package has the hands of his bodyguards. He watches the news and finds Atwood's wife giving false information about the merger and her lawyer intervening to explain the situation. Gennady tries opening the door and finds Eddie standing at the edge of the balcony. He tries to remember where he could have left one more tablet. He remembers and finds it, but before taking it, Gennady opens the door and Eddie drops the drug. Gennady's men grab Eddie and Gennady injects himself with the drug. They then start torturing Eddie for more information about where they can find the drug. Gennady's men go to open the safe and Eddie takes the chance to attack him and kill him. Eddie becomes desperate and he drinks Gennady's blood to get the effect of the drug. It works and he instantly takes down Gennady's men. Later, Atwood dies at the hospital and Eddie sits with the men that had previously followed him. The two discover that Atwood had not received any additional doses of the NZT, and that had made his health deteriorate rapidly. The man then helps Eddie find more drugs from Atwood's lawyer. 1 year later, Eddie has transformed his life and is running for governor. He then meets with Carl, who is representing a large pharmaceutical company. Carl tells him that he left Wall Street some time back to go into the pharmaceutical industry. He adds that he knows about the NZT, and he now owns and manufactures the drug. He wants Eddie's collaboration so that he can get a constant supply of the drug. Eddie then reveals that he stopped taking the drug and no longer depends on it. He says that the effect of the drug remained permanent on him. As the movie ends, Eddie predicts a van hitting a car as the driver was distracted. He observes Carl and mentions that he could have several problems with his heart. Eddie then says that would always be several steps ahead of Carl. Carl goes away and Eddie goes to meet Lindy at a restaurant. That's the end of the video. If you made it to the end and enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to never miss out on our videos. Thank you.